Neuroscientists have discovered what every woman who is struggling with losing weight wants to know: how naturally slim women stay slim, and what is their secret. Cambridge University study called STILTS revealed the secret that we will explain in this video. They tell you to count calories, or to just eat less. But why for some women that comes naturally, and for some it feels like a battle within themselves? But what if I tell you that being naturally slim doesn't have anything to do with willpower? If you start to fight, you have already lost. You need to approach it with a different mindset. This isn't just another video of skinny people habits. We will dive into the way of thinking where food stops being an emotional support when something triggers us. Understanding this can completely change the way you see food and eventually help you achieve the goals of staying healthy and skinny. Let me tell you in the beginning of the video, nothing is wrong with women who don't want to be slim or skinny. That's okay. Do not let this video trigger you. As an always big and chubby kid, this helped me get my weight in order as an adult, not just because I look better, but because I wanted to feel lighter and free from food. So if this video isn't for you, just skip it. If you're interested in the topic, continue to watch the video as we will explain the why and give you solutions and examples of how you can reprogram your brain to help you become skinny without trying and to stop the food noise. For many of us, almost every meal can feel like a struggle. We fight cravings, how much to eat, when to stop. And don't let me start talking about the guilt of eating something you shouldn't have eaten. It's a tiring, nonstop negotiation with food. But then you see other women who seem to live by different rules. They eat, live their lives, and stay slim so easily that it's almost frustrating. You've probably looked at them and wondered, what's their secret? Is it a super fast metabolism? Or are they just lucky? It all starts in the brain. For women who struggle with losing weight, eating delicious food gives their brain a hit of a feel-good chemical called dopamine. That's the signal that says, this is great, do it again. This is why stress eating happens. When we feel bad, we look for that reliable dopamine boost from pizza or ice cream to feel better. It's a way of coping. For naturally skinny women, dopamine doesn't play the most important role when it comes to the connection between food and dopamine reward. Simply, food is not at the top of their list. Their brains don't get the same intense pleasure from food. When they are stressed, excited, or focused on work, the small reward from eating isn't enough to distract them. This is why some people can truly forget to eat. It's not that they have amazing self-control. Their brain just isn't begging them for a food reward. Scientists call this reduced hedonic eating for pleasure rather than need. For women, especially those who have a history of dieting, this is very different. Studies show that when they resist food, the brain reward feeling can get even stronger. And this keeps them in a vicious cycle. Naturally, skinny women's happiness doesn't depend on food. For them, eating is a neutral feeling, and they are eating just so they continue to function. Their happiness doesn't depend on food. If you've ever struggled with your weight, you know the constant thoughts about food can be overwhelming. It's a nonstop voice in your head. What should I eat? Did I eat too much? I shouldn't have had that cookie. Okay, the diet starts tomorrow. Experts call this food noise, and it takes up a lot of mental energy throughout the day. This food noise is what medications like Ozempic and Wegovy target through their effects on GLP-1 receptors. The reason why people on these drugs report feeling mentally free for the first time. They stop thinking about food all the time. They do not get a dopamine reward in their brain. Their brains start to function like in naturally slim women. For those seeking alternatives, cognitive behavioral therapy has also shown in reducing mental food noise. Because they don't have this noise, food doesn't take over their thoughts. They aren't always planning their next meal, thinking about what they just ate, or feeling guilty. One expert said that while these people may like food, they are not in love with food. This mental freedom is a big part of why they stay slim. Because they don't label foods as good or bad, they avoid the cycle of eating perfectly and then giving up completely. When they eat a piece of cake, it's just a piece of cake. It isn't a failure that needs to be fixed by going to the gym or eating only salads for a week. This neutral thinking stops the binge and restrict cycle. When you believe you can have any food whenever you want, there's no urgent need to eat all the cookies right now. You know you can have one tomorrow without feeling guilty. Their minds are free to think about other things. And food is just a simple part of their day. Something naturally skinny women have is their interoceptive awareness, as they usually do not use food to become happier and stop feeling bad. Their brains are better at reading the body's hunger signals. They handle their feelings in other ways. Some can be good and some may be bad, but they are not using food to help them because it doesn't help them the way it helps people who struggle with emotional eating. They eat because they hear a rumble in their stomach, or they are feeling a little low on energy, so they know it's time for food. In the same way they start, they stop, because leptin, the satiety hormone, gives a signal to their body that they are full. Ghrelin and leptin work as opposing forces. Ghrelin increases appetite, while leptin decreases it, creating a natural balance in naturally slim women. Hunger to them isn't an emergency, it's just a message. If this sounds like you, hit the subscribe button so you can continue to learn about women's psychology in an easy way, but backed by research. Now, even when some fitness trainers say it's just calorie deficit, we have to be honest and talk about the big one, genetics. For a long time, people thought skinny genes were just an excuse, but science has now proven they are very real. A major study from the University of Cambridge, called the Study into Lean and Thin Subjects, or STILTS, published in PLOS Genetics, found that for many thin people, their genes give them an advantage. They found that healthy thin people have fewer genes that are known to increase the risk of being overweight, specifically genes like FTO and MC4R that regulate appetite and metabolism. In other words, their DNA actively helps protect them from gaining weight. The lead researcher, Professor Sidaf Faruqi, said this isn't because they're better people or have more willpower. It's just that they got lucky with their genes. These genes can affect many things. Some people might have a faster metabolism because of a certain gene. Others might have body signals that make them feel full much faster. Some genes are even linked to being less interested in high-calorie foods. This genetic predisposition also affects what scientists call set point theory, the idea that our bodies have a natural weight range they try to maintain. The STILTS study also found that almost 75% of the thin people in the study had a family history of being thin and healthy. This genetic head start is the base for their mindset. It's much easier to be relaxed about food when your body is naturally set to lean. Knowing this is important because it helps remove the guilt and shame often connected to weight. This doesn't mean you understand this as, I cannot be skinny. It's just how I am, and continue to be unhealthy and stuff yourself with everything with an excuse that you do not have the skinny gene. It's just an explanation that some people have it easier in this. You for sure got it easier with something else. Maybe you have a gene where math comes easy for you, but you will struggle with losing weight, and that's okay. So let me recap what we learned here. First, we have the dopamine disconnect. Their brain doesn't see food as its top reward. The solution for you here is to find something that will trigger a bigger reward in your brain than food. Maybe that is work, playing, spending money, working out, or something similar. When you don't get that dopamine hit from food, and if you do it constantly and with practice, you will have an absence of food noise that will free a lot of mental energy in your brain, the emotion firewall. Separate feelings from eating. When you are sad, be in the discomfort. Be sad, be bored, be uncomfortable. Do not eat in the emotion. It will pass. With time, your brain will learn to stop connecting emotions with food, and you will stop getting the urge to eat. And by that, you will loosen up the dopamine hit that we talked about earlier. Maybe there will never be a day in your life where you will get a chore mentality around food, but it will for sure loosen up a lot, talking from experience. I went through all of that, and even though I still love to eat a good food, sometimes I just want a scientist to invent a pill that can be taken so I don't need to eat. Yes, really. As a person who is in a cycle of restrictive and binge eating, this is huge. But it took me 5 years to come to this state as I am now. Slightly, the voice in your head about food will fade by letting go of the shame from fad diets and, instead, trying to understand your own mindset. You can start to loosen those emotional connections to food and build a relationship with it that is healthier, calmer, and finally free. On this channel, I break down women's psychology in a way that actually makes sense. No overcomplicated theories, no fluff. Just clear patterns, real-life examples, and practical ways to change what's not working. If that's your kind of content, subscribe and go straight to the next video. See you there.